Hi, this is Linda with Truth, Trust, and Transformation. I'm giving another intro to breathing to give you some ideas about how to think about these exercises that you're going to see on our channel. People talk about diaphragmatic breathing. Your diaphragm lives right here. It's a big muscle that we're going to talk about your diaphragm, which is what most people talk about when they talk about breathing. They talk about diaphragmatic breathing. Well, you actually have 4 diaphragms in your body. You have the one that everybody thinks about that's basically taking your lung cavity and putting a barrier between that and your guts is basically what that does. When you inhale, yes, it goes down, and when you exhale, it gently lifts back up. You also have diaphragms in your collarbone, in your cranium, and your pelvic floor is considered a diaphragm. The way that I teach breathing all has to do with the pelvic floor, because if you want power and you want a full breath, you don't really want to stop here. You basically want to go all the way down to your crotch, so to speak. When I teach this, yes, we have to talk about anatomy because it's your body that you're breathing. So we're going to talk a little bit about the pelvic floor and about some of these body parts that I talk about in the videos. This is a beautiful rendition, an artful rendition of a pelvis. And you can see you've got your iliac bones, your sacrum, your tailbone, and then that thing that's the sky, that's your pelvic floor. And when you breathe correctly, you really breathe as low in your body as possible. It's going to feel like pizza dough spread out down into a popcorn bowl. And that's exactly what the sheath of muscles does when you inhale properly. The pelvic floor is used for going to the bathroom, 1 and 2. It's used in childbirth. It's used in sex. I mean, it basically is the stability of your whole body, because your pelvis is like a huge, huge part of your body, and that's where your spine comes out of and everything like that. So I've had a lot of pelvic floor therapy because I was in a car accident and I dislocated my sacrum. It was awful. So I've learned a lot about this, but it's made me such a more profound teacher of breath work and of singing, because we're actually talking about the pelvic floor and not just the diaphragm. So when I say you want to take in a breath and you want to stretch out the connective tissue between your iliacs and your sacrum, that's what I'm talking about. It's very helpful to look at anatomy pictures. I go to a lot of doctor's appointments and I don't just sit there and scroll on my phone, because that's not something I do anyway. I look at the anatomy pictures and I imagine, where is that in my body? How does that feel in my body? I'm actually able to figure out what's going on in my body because I know what the anatomy looks like. So that's another suggestion. This breathing, it's all about being with your body. You want to stretch your body from the inside out. You want to feel what the sensations are going on in your body. We live in these things. They carry us around, and yet we're not really in tune with them. It's kind of like driving your car around and not noticing that your suspension is starting to clunk, or not keeping an eye on the tire pressure. And that seems like a lot, but it's also very loving. It's a very loving way to be in your body. So some of the other things about these breath exercises, I'm going to be putting you in different positions, because that's going to enable you to feel resistance against this stretching from the inside out that you're doing. We also talk about what I call a peaceful pause, which is where you pause after an inhale and then gently let it go. People are into box breathing. I think that's fine, but what I find about it is that I'll say this, it's a good place to start counting an inhale and an exhale, because then you're at least gauging that you're trying to inhale slower and longer and exhale slower and longer. But I also, even talking about it, it makes me feel anxious and stressful. I don't like somebody telling me how many counts to do. So when I think about stretching myself from the inside out. I stretch as far as is comfortable without cramming air into me, and then I let go of it. And thinking of a peaceful pause instead of like, oh my God, I have to hold my breath for 5 seconds. That's stressful to me. The other thing about stretching out a body part is that then once you've learned how to like drop your pelvic floor, drop your diaphragm, and what I call blowing up your butt, because you will literally feel like you're blowing up your butt with air. When you can do that, you can start breathing into other body parts. Like say you have shoulder pain or your pecs are tight, and you can breathe behind that, and then on the exhale, it deflates and gets a different stretch. So that's what I think of, you know, the counting. Sometimes it's helpful. Other times I find it more peaceful to just go with the intuition of your body. What does my body want? The articulations for rolling up and rolling down, those aren't necessarily breathing exercise, but you're really wanting, this is just for future reference, to feel all the tiny little articulations of rolling down and rolling up, so that you're really taking your time with it. All of these things can be done impatiently or patiently. And I used to try to stretch, and I'm like trying to stretch and get it done and do my breathing and get it done, and all I'm doing is creating more tension in my body. So if you are going to do these things, just take your time. The whole point is to be with yourself, to slow down and relax, to open up and let go. And sometimes when you're super stressed out, that just seems like bullshit, but it's not. And even if you just give yourself 1 or 2 breaths, but do them relaxed and calm and with that intention, even if you think it's bullshit, it's going to go a lot better. So I hope you enjoy the progression of videos of things where you can learn how to breathe and align and have a bit more peace and healthfulness in your body and your mind. Thank you.